All right, so when it comes to printing, we can print on all kinds of things. We can print on regular paper, we can print on fancy paper, you can print on plastic, you can print on clothing. You name it, you can print on it these days especially. So what I do, or when I got started doing a creative agency, is I started a relationship with a couple of great printers. I mean, the first printer I worked with was Shawmut Printing up on the northern part of Boston, and you know, made friends with a great representative over there, Dave Gagnon. He's been awesome. I still work with him after going on 25 years. He's amazing, they're amazing, they're like the best go-to place when I want to print some cool stuff that I'm going to share with you later. But anyway, it's important to establish yourself with a really good printer, because it's about relationships. You know, everything you do in the creative business is about relationships, and you know, working with a printer is an important part of that. You know, you're doing marketing, direct marketing, you're doing print stuff, you're doing all kinds of things in the creative realm. So it's really important to have that relationship. And when I did get that relationship with Dave and Shawmut, you know, they introduced me to various paper vendors, and one of them is Lindenmeyer Monroe. And so what you do is you contact them and you get, you know, a whole collection of these. I have a separate office downstairs specifically with samples, and if I'm going to meet with clients, I might meet down there and show them a lot of these samples. So I just grabbed some of these to show you. So when it comes to print paper, you know, one of my favorites is Mohawk. So what you do is you get these different paper vendors, and there's paper vendors all over the world, especially in this country. Now things are a little different nowadays. After the COVID years and the supply chain issues, it can get kind of tricky, it can get kind of expensive and kind of hard to get certain papers nowadays, but it's not impossible. I mean, you can still get a lot of great papers. But what you do is you get these sample books and you get a full collection, and I probably have, I'll have to show you downstairs, but I probably have about, I don't know, 20 of these boxes, different vendors, different papers. And what they do is they show you, like Mohawk will tell you about their papers, and they'll specify the type of papers on the back of them. And inside you're going to find lots and lots of swatches. You know, you're going to have, you know, 80-pound cover, 100-pound cover, text weights or whatever. And what you do is you thumb through them. So when you're speccing a job or when you're designing a job, you think of that. You know, you can think of the paper color, because the paper color is really important, the paper thickness, you know, whether there's bleed through or see-through when you're designing. So those are all really, really important. Now, I personally have always loved working with Mohawk. It's just a nice, bright, clean, white sheet of paper. I can show you some samples that I did on that. But also you'll find the spec sheets, and it'll itemize in there for you exactly what it's good for. You know, it'll tell you, for example, you know, the weights, you know, 70, 65-pound cover, 100-pound cover, 130-pound double cover, which I use for media kits and folders and so forth. So that would be Mohawk, which I love working with. There's another great company here, Endurance. So Endurance makes great printing paper. I love working with this stuff, especially with Shawmut. And they make a really good glossy sheet. So you get this spec book here, and it'll show you, I don't know if you can see the gloss on there, a nice shine on it. And again, you flip through it. This here shows you, you know, there's gloss, no varnish, and dull varnish showing on the paper, which is great because it's on a printed sheet, so you can see right away as a graphic designer, or if I meet with a client, I'll bring this to the meeting and I'll show them, you know, the difference between a gloss varnish, no varnish, and a dull varnish, because different techniques create different effects on your outcome of your project. You know, a gloss sheet is really, really important if you want that slick, glossy feel. as opposed to Mohawk, which is a non-glossy type of sheet of paper. So this is Endurance. Again, you can flip through it and it'll itemize on there and tell you, like this is their silk 80-pound text weight paper, which is great for like a nice thick sheet if you're doing a nice thick promo piece. So Endurance is a great product. And there's just so many. I mean, Neenah Classic Columns. Oh, I've used this. This is a great book too. Great swatches in here. So Neenah Classic. Now, this is great for great impact. If you want high impact pieces, if you want a really high-end brochure or a really high-end print piece, this is the way to go. Very expensive, but sometimes it's worth it. If you're a high-end client or you have a high-end project you want to get done, you want to use this stuff. It's really nice stuff. You can see even on the first page here, all the different swatches they have, and it's nice and thick. Nice thick, and they call it columns because it has little ridges of lines. You probably can't see that in here, but there's a lot of lines, which again are kind of like columns that are lined up in the paper. Comes in different colors and weights. So for example, let's just say you want to go with I don't know, a heavier black stock. Let's go with the blue stock because I've actually done that. I'll show you a print piece with that. But again, there's columns, there's sort of ridges in the paper here. Well, they call it columns. It's a beautiful piece of paper, beautiful sheet of paper. And it's important, again, to work with your printer because they'll work with the vendor, the paper vendor, and it'll tell you what weights are available. So what I like to do when I meet with the printer is I like to go over my project. I'll literally sketch up a project. I have a notepad that I use here quite a bit. And I just kind of keep this next to my desk, and I'll literally sketch up a plan. The cover will be this, the inside will be this, just like a rough sketch. Take a snapshot with my phone and send it off to the printer, and make sure that it's something that's feasible, how much it'll cost, and all that kind of stuff. Let's see what else we have. The Curious Collection, it's another good one. Curious Collection makes some really cool papers, and often they'll do a sample print, a print test for you, so it'll show you what it'll look like, and it'll give you the specs on the back of what this is exactly, if they have any special effects on it or whatnot. But again, the Curious Selection, I've used this too. It's again an expensive paper, but it's amazing to me how many styles of paper they have in here. I mean, look at the different sheets that they have available inside here. I mean, all the different colors and the special effects they have on some of these papers are just absolutely extraordinary. Like if you want to have a real impact and have a nice glowing bright sheet of paper, I mean, that there is the way to go. Again, very expensive, but amazing possibilities when it comes to paper. So that's just a few. I didn't want to spend too much time going over papers, but because again, I have a whole box here, and my recommendation is going through a box. I have a favorite box downstairs that I have where I have all of the favorite samples that I have, but I always explore other options because sometimes it gets really expensive. So you want to give your client a range, basic printing range, medium printing range, and a high-end printing range, and discuss with them the importance of the piece, because if it's a high-ended piece, you want to use the right paper. So I don't know, go online, get yourself affiliated with Lindenmeyer Monroe. They're a great paper rep. Get yourself some sample books. Establish a relationship with a good printer, go on printing press checks, go on printing tours, get to know your printers really well and form a really good relationship, because it really has a big impact on the outcome of your project.